What's up, fam? It's your boy Kirk Nugent, and we got another installment in the series How It All Works Academy Ecamm Edition. We're going to be looking at scenes and overlays part 3. I'm going to build out a presentation scene. I'm going to build out a show, a full set of scenes for a show, and I'm going to add music to the scene we did yesterday. So let's dive in. So we're back in Ecamm on the desktop, and first thing that we need to do is add music to the scene that we created. So let's go back to that scene. You will remember it. This is the one. Woohoo! Got our stuff flying in from side to side there. There's a subscribe button in the side there. We got our countdown clock. Everything is in this scene. And so what we want to do is add music to this scene, right? We'll add music to this scene. I'm going to put my audio down so that when I add this, it's not going to blast you guys out. So here's some countdown, quote unquote countdown music is what I call this track. I'm just going to drag it onto the screen, right? I'm just going to actually drag it and drop it on the screen. You notice that sits right on the screen right here. And I can hit this X to get rid of it. And you'll also notice that in the sound effects, it's here at the very bottom. It adds, so when you drag music onto a scene, it actually adds it in the bottom of your sound effects, and you can actually hit the wheel, put it on repeat, and you can actually control the volume of that sound effect right here as well. So it's rolling now. You're hearing it. Turn it down a little more. I'm going to turn it up some. But every time you come back to this scene, that sound effect is embedded. Let's test that. So we go back to the regular camera view. Let's come back to this scene that we built out. Everything comes up and you can hear that music begins playing immediately. That is a part of the scene. So that's the first thing we need to do. Next thing I want to do as we close up these scenes and overlays section is I want to build out a presentation scene. So I have a presentation. I'm going to expand this presentation folder. I have a presentation here. Grab that presentation and put it on into showing current scene. Put that PDF right there. Now, you notice I'm not using these adding different types of overlays here. I'm just going to grab this and put it into showing current scene. I don't want it in all scenes. I don't want it in the background. I want it in current scene, right? So now I have this in current scene. If I move my mouse onto the screen, you can see that I can go from slide to slide with the mouse. Now I can also, with the keyboard, go from slide to slide with the arrows. So I don't actually have to be with the mouse, but if the mouse is not on the screen, like if you don't have focused on the screen, you haven't clicked onto the screen, then you will need to actually click there before you can actually advance the slides with the keyboard. This is where the Stream Deck comes in great. I want to get a camera onto the screen, and in this case, I do have to say, click on New Camera Overlay, which is right here at the bottom. Click on New Camera Overlay. Now I'm back. I know you guys missed me. So here, I'm just going to kind of size myself a little bit over my own face in the presentation. Very weird, but it is what it is. I know this is not quite in the right spot. How do I know that? Because I have an overlay here, live video strategy.png. You see that overlay is there. And so what I'm going to do is open up this overlay. So I'm going to drag that into the scene above my camera. You can see that has dropped right in place. So now I need to just grab the camera and size it where I need it to be. So I probably need to change it to custom. Build this out like that. And I'm going to lock everything in place. Lock, lock, lock. And so now here, I'm going to go to Configure Stream Deck. So you're seeing my Stream Deck here. And you'll notice that there are two keys here. Previous PDF, next PDF. And so these two buttons really save me from having to do anything with the keyboard or the mouse. I can just advance my PDF in the scene with the Stream Deck. and I can come through my entire presentation. You notice that it's moving because the PDF is in the background. I am the next layer right here as the camera, and then this frame around my camera, the white box around my camera, is the next layer. So it's a seamless design, and so this is yet another scene that you can build out in Ecamm with your system. The final thing that I want to do here is to build out an entire show, and I've got a folder here to the side that shows an entire show. So let me grab my main camera. I'm going to pull down this thing here. So I've got a countdown, I've got intro, I've got host, I've got outro. Okay, so all of those things are here, and we should be good to go. So I'm going to expand this HIAW scene folder here in this Finder window at the bottom. I've got a number of assets, graphics, and stuff. All of this stuff you would have had to pre-build in your process as you build out things. So the first thing we want to build out is the countdown scene. But before I do that, I'm going to mimic the way I would build it out as if we were live. So if we were live, I would hit this preview mode icon, and that preview mode icon makes this program what the audience is seeing while I'm able to build over here. And I'm doing that because I want you guys to still see me while I build the scene over here, and we'll publish as we go. So let's move to the countdown scene. You notice that the preview window is now black because we have this scene completely blank. This is our countdown scene, so we need the countdown PNG here. So we have that there now. So that's there, and I'm gonna lock it in place. That's ready to go. And the only thing that we want to do is add countdown music. All right, make sure that it's going to loop. And the reason why it didn't automatically play is because we're building the scene. When I publish it, it's gonna actually play. So we've set it on a loop. Now the last thing we need is an actual clock. So we want to add a countdown clock. So we're going to call this countdown for a certain amount of time. I like to do 4 minutes, but I'm going to just do 3 minutes. Doc always says do 3 minutes and 33 seconds. And what do we want it to do? We want it to go to the next scene when it's finished. I'm going to add that. It's here, but it's tiny. So let's make it a little bigger. Put it right above the prompt that's designed into the scene. Live stream will start shortly. Please take this time to share the stream. And this, we want to lock it in place. And that is ready to go. So we not only want to lock these in place, but we want to lock our scene and publish it. And so now you're actually hearing the music because that scene is live, right? If I want to just go back to live mode now, instead of having to publish things, I could go to live mode by doing that. But what I'm going to do is build out our next scene. And then next scene is the intro video. Well, we need an intro video in order to do that. And in order to have our intro video, I've got one right here. That is intro CC July, August. This is an MP4 file. I'm going to call this a video scene. I'm going to say choose file. We'll go to our downloads folder, Ecamm, where we're building this out. Intro CC July, August. Go open. And I'm going to set this to go to next scene. And now that that's ready, we can publish it. So that's ready to go. Now that that's ready to go and it's actually playing, you can hear that music in the background. We've got 2 scenes built out already. If we go back to live mode, right, we're going to go back 1 scene, and you'll see here this is going all the way to 0. It will go to 0, and when that goes to 0, it will go into our intro video, and then from there we want it to go into our host video. So I'm gonna go back to my camera scene so you can see me. Go back to preview mode, and then we will go to build out our host scene. So we have a couple of scenes to build out. One is our host scene, another is our host plus guest, and then the final is host plus guest plus screen. I'm going to build out all three, but I only have one scene built here because I want to stack, we want to layer. So I'm going to take both of these background images, pull them onto the scene as in the current background as current backgrounds, lock them both in place. I'm going to hide one of them. So that they are both there. Now that I have that set like that, I'm going to actually duplicate this scene and call this one host plus guest. And I'm going to duplicate the scene again, host, guest, screen. And now I've got three scenes with the two. Remember, we got the two backgrounds in all three of these scenes. 1, 2, 3. So now that I have the host set up like that, I'm going to take my host overlay, grab that, put it above the backgrounds in this scene, and you'll notice that that is there. I'm going to add a camera, make this custom, put this in the corner here. And at this stage, I'm building it out above the overlay because I want to get it right. And then I'm going to pull it down under the overlay, lock everything in place. And so now we have a fully designed scene, that one that we're used to, that we designed together in the beginning of this academy. And if you haven't seen that, you need to go back and watch it. The last thing you want to do in this scene, that now that you have it built out, is you want to mute the interview mode. What you're essentially doing is muting your guests. This is the thing that I always say to folks about scenes, is that everything is built based on the scene. All the sound levels and settings, everything in your sound effects, everything in your overlays, everything is based on your scene. So in this scene, I have muted interview mode, and you'll see that if I go to the next scene, interview mode is no longer muted. But if I go back to the host scene, interview mode is muted. And your guest, because this is a host scene, you don't want your guest's audio to be heard during this scene. So you want to make sure you mute them in this scene so that that's not a thing. You never have to worry about that again. That's a beautiful thing about Ecamm. Then we can move on to our host plus guest. Host plus guest. So we want to add our host plus guest overlay. There it is. We also want to add our cameras. So I'm going to add a camera here. Here's one camera. We're going to get it in place. Try and make it, of course, custom. Pull it down. Just get that thing right. Sometimes you can click there and just kind of adjust it with the keyboard. Sometimes that gives you a little bit more precise movement. And once you have it in place, you hit the option button and click it with the mouse, and then just slide over. It gives you another. And if you'll notice in the overlays section, it's going to give me a copy. There it is. Let me show you here. Here it says copy of CamLink 4K, right? And then I can just come into this section and change this to, let's say, guest 1, because my guest 1 is going to be on the screen here. And then what I need to do is grab the host plus guest overlay, push it up above the two cameras, and then lock those in place. Well, in this scene, I may have some lower thirds that I want to add. So some custom lower thirds, some custom titles. So let's pull this onto the screen as well. And you'll see that those drop right in place. Again, if I just give you a preview of these lower thirds titles, you'll see that it's already designed to be in that place. So I can actually show the titles or turn them off. We want to lock it, but I can turn them off, I can turn them on, and we can be in the stream in this way. So that's two of our scenes built out. Then we want to build out our host plus guest screen. We're going to grab our host plus guest screen overlay, drop that onto the canvas. We want to grab our camera, put that in place. Of course, we do need this to be custom. Moving a little bit quicker now because I think you guys are with me. kind of seen the process. You're no longer newbies at this, right? And this is one of the areas where hitting Command tilde is really critical, because you want to really get things right. And so that's what's making this thing so good. The Option button to copy that, line it up again, and move that thing properly. And we can actually change this to our guest one. Then we can actually say, let's put the host plus guest screen overlay above the two cameras. Something moved. You see something moved, right? That's what happens when you don't lock things. So I'm going to move this back below the cameras. You notice that white box is gone, which is not good, because that is what we are sizing it up for. So I've got to go back and do this all over again. This is why having the ability to get rid of that those other things on screen is so critical. Now let's lock the cameras in place, at least those two. Push these above. We want to add a third camera to the scene. This is a third camera because we're going to put it in this spot here, and we're going to change this to, well, we'll just change it to our background shot for now. So we change that to that. We want to make this custom. Pull this out. And once we have that in the right place, I think we do. Let's move that up just a touch. And now we can pull the overlay above that as well. And of course, I did not lock it into place, which don't make my mistakes. So now we have a scene built out for us here as well. One of the things that I also like to do is to have a banner. But because the banner is something that I may want to actually have in all screens, I will put that in all scenes, and I can turn that on and off no matter what scene I'm in, right? So if I go back to the other scene, I can turn on and off that banner. If I go back to my host scene, I can still turn on and off. I can still turn on and off that banner, right? So those are critical items to be able to be aware of. So now we have a host scene design, host plus guest scene design. We have a host plus guest plus desktop or screen design. Let's go ahead and pull in a desktop view, and we're going to use NDI to do that. So I'm going to actually go through here, open NDI scan converter, and this opens, and then this NDI scan converter, I'm going to tell it to go to screen 1, which is my screen, my laptop screen. And then what that does is it allows me to have the option in here to have the NDI scan converter as a camera. So I select that, and now I have my desktop showing in the scene. The only other thing that you might want to add to a scene like this one is, of course, your titles, and you can do those with text overlays. So we can do a text overlay, Kirk Nugent, and we'll call this, we'll do the background. Let's see. Let's do a background on that guy. We had done, I think purple was a good one for the show. We did add there. So we've got Kirk Nugent here. We probably want to make that a little smaller because of the way we have this thing designed. So we have that here. Let's put it in the middle. And now that we have that set, we can hit the Option key. It works for everything, not just cameras. Hit the Option key, click it, and drag to bring it down to the other guest in the scene as well. We hit the pencil. We can call this guest 1. And again, just want to size it, try to get it in the center. That's all. I'm going to lock both of these, and everything is in this scene. So now let's hit Command tilde to bring back our stuff. We're going to publish this to live, back to live mode. And what that does is it brings both the preview window and the program window back in sync. So you no longer have to publish to the live program window in order for your scene changes to take effect. So now we have the countdown clock going. We got some music playing, and that's going to take 3 minutes. After that 3 minutes is done, it will go into the intro video, and the intro video is 50 seconds. And when the intro video is done, it'll drop to our host, which is me. Hey guys, welcome to How It All Works Academy Ecamm Edition. And I would talk to the people and say, man, we got a phenomenal guest coming up today. Can't wait for you guys to meet him. Let's bring him on screen right now. Hit the next button on my Stream Deck, which takes me to the next scene, or I can just click it here. But again, your Stream Deck really does help you to have a hands-free kind of a thing, because you want to be looking directly at the camera. And we can chat it up a little bit, and I can go and say, oh, let me show your website. You know, I can go to the next scene and just say, hey, let's show your website real quick. Show the person's website, talk about that for a second. Maybe they wanted to highlight something. We can come back to this scene, continue talking. Designed. The last thing that we want to do, last thing you're seeing on the screen, is the outro. So if we go to the outro, we want to drag and drop on screen. We want to make this a video. Let's choose file, and hopefully it goes back to the same folder. It did. And I don't have an outro video here, so I'm just going to use the same one for my intro. We'll hit open. And then what I want to do here is actually set this to end broadcast. All right, I set that scene to end broadcast. So what that does is, when I'm done with the show, my guest and I are done talking. We have been able to finish out everything for the show. We can now just basically say, all right, guys, thank you so much for being here. We will see you next week. You click to run your outro, and once your outro is running, that will actually not only end the broadcast or end the recording, it will end what you're doing and just fade to black. And that is an entire show build out with Ecamm. So there you have it. I'm using one of the scenes that we built out from the show. Just want to say a word of thanks for being here. I know this was a long one. Hope that it was meaningful for you. Hope that it connected some dots. It filled in some blanks for you as well. I've been seeing a lot of requests coming in. Hey, can you touch on this? Hey, can you touch on that? I'm seeing them. I'm making note of them, and I'm adding them to my content creation schedule. This has been amazing. We are closing out the month. We're closing out the challenge. We're closing out How It All Works Academy. Some of you are going to be sad about that, but I'm glad to be able to kind of get back to a normal content creation schedule. But man, let me know in the comments how you're going to use some of these things, what you saw that really opened your mind, and things that you probably didn't know, or you knew but didn't understand the ramifications of it before. Drop those in the comments, and so let's engage there. Man, this has been phenomenal. Okay, it's your boy Kirk Nugent, the Geek Speaker Preacher, hoping that somewhere in the video today we got you a little closer to figuring out how it all works. Take the journey with us and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.